Hello, this is episode 25, and this is the special edition New York City NFT YW
2023.
20 something 2023.
Shut up.
Mistakes
I
were
guess
made.
let's start with the shot.
Yes.
I'm still like jet lag. I'm like brain dead.
Brain dead.
Let's go. That's it. It's like water now. You guys made me alcoholic. An alcoholic.
Cheers, whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just wash it down with more Fireball here.
There you go. Not a girl.
Oh my gosh.
I guess I should start because I was the first person to arrive.
Yeah.
So I just want to start with, I guess, the plane. That was my first time on the plane, and it was
Dang.
very exciting. I had a leg room. I was very lucky. And dang it.
He'll be right back. You know, nothing cuter than a young dad taking care of his daughter. Am I right? All right. Also, I was buckling up for like a 10-hour story about his plane ride.
I know. I was ready to go. I think he was emphasizing the leg room because we all saw how little leg room Chris had, and he's like super tall. When I saw that picture of his legs, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like no room for him on that plane.
And it was from Portugal too. It's not like it's even from like,
Right.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, now we just gotta awkwardly stall. Oh, there he's back. He's back.
There he goes.
I'm back.
Okay.
What was I talking about?
Leg room.
Leg room. Oh, so,
And your soccer legs.
Leg room. Also, my hand got licked over there.
On the plane. Do you even remember or know who it was? Did you see who it was that licked your hand?
I was scared to look back. So
That's
what
fair.
happened was my phone dropped, and so I stuck my arm all the way in, like between the seat, to get my phone, and then I ended up pushing it like way back there. So I got my hand way back there, and my hand got licked.
That's
It was
gross.
legit lick. Like I pulled out my arm, and it was wet.
That's disgusting. That's so gross.
So I don't know what happened. So I think that was the exciting part of the plane ride.
I would think so.
I hope so. Unless you're on a private jet doing way cooler crap than that. I hope that's the...
Oh my gosh. No Mile High Club on that plane.
No.
So when I arrived in New York, I got to use Uber for the first time too.
Was that terrifying for you? Because I had never used Uber, but that was mildly nerve-wracking because the airport was so big and there were so many signs and so many people that I'm like, holy shit, I'm so overstimulated. It was like a little overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. Like I couldn't find the dude. And when I found the dude, I get in and I was like nervous and awkward. So I started talking. I was like, "Oh, you're my first Uber guy." And
he's probably like, great.
Like he didn't care. He's like, "Oh." No, he was all like, "Oh, why do you have 5 stars?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. It's my first time."
Wow, rude. This is my first time.
And yeah, so it was like 2 in the morning. So I started going to the hotel, and once I got to the hotel, there's Chris with pizza on his hand, waiting in the cold. He was like freezing. Poor guy.
Aww.
Yeah, and so I get out and hug him and make out a little bit, but
make out a little bit.
no,
But
that
did
was
you eat the pizza first and then make out with him, or was there like did you?
no, I made out first.
Oh, okay. Well, priorities. I respect that. Where's where did Neil go? Oh, okay.
And then so I was the lucky one to share a bed with him. It was nice.
Dragon sending us the picture of Chris sleeping, like the back of his head sleeping.
Yeah.
This is so creepy that you took a picture of it.
His was more creepy.
But then Chris did it later.
Yes. Yes. He took one later, and I opened that up while we just landed, and he had put the stress ball, which we're gonna get to, but he put the stress ball next to Dragon while he was asleep, and I opened that up, and there's like this chick next to me on the plane that saw it, and I'm like, okay, hopefully I don't see you on the return trip back.
Yep, that's the first day right there.
Your first day. Your first day. What did you guys do in the morning the next day?
Man, I don't remember. I think we just waited for you.
Yeah, I like ended up getting dropped off at Buddy's house and like, you know, wake up at 3 a.m. that day, you know, unable to sleep, you know, just not in a good place is what I'll say for the podcast. I was just not in a good place. And I had a really rough flight. And it was really long, but I finally felt better by the time I got to New York. Trying to remember like how I think you guys were on the street when I got there. But I used to Uber people back in the day. I know how Uber works. I'm not a rube who's never been in an Uber before. But just kidding.
It's so
I'm sorry.
rude.
So I got in the Uber and got to the hotel, and I think I saw you. Where did I see you guys? You're like on the street, I think, weren't you?
No, we were in the lobby. Of
Yeah, the
hotel.
lobby. That's right. Yeah, and that was amazing seeing you and Chris. Man, it's just been a long time coming, and for me, like I'm kind of the ugliest guy out of everyone, out of all four of us, right? Like I'm the.
Did you just call me a guy?
I'm the duff, you know what I mean? Like that's and Dragon and Chris look just like I thought they would, and I looked and both their eyes were too long and they got uncomfortable.
Aw, yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't check in though. That was kind of stupid. I had to get stuck in the waiting for them to get ready, but when we hung around for a while. And we decided ultimately to go get a registration and have Whiskey meet us there.
Yeah.
And that's where you pick up Whiskey.
Yeah. I thought it was sweet because you guys texted me while I was on the plane and was like, send me your QR code and I will get you registered. But I still was meeting you at the actual venue, which still made no sense to me because in my head, I'm like, well, if you're going to get my registration, I'm going to meet you at the hotel instead of bringing all my luggage to the venue. So I get into New York. I find an Uber. I get my Uber. Everything is fine. I mildly freaked out because I was like, I'm going to be the one that ends up like in another state because I did something wrong. The guy was watching TV on his phone the whole time while he was driving. So I'm like watching this and I'm thinking, okay, so I started sharing my location with you guys. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to end up like on the side of the road or I'm going to end up dead because he's going to die. I have no idea. It looked like he was watching stuff on Instagram, but it was like a movie. And I'm like, pay attention. And he didn't drive like a New Yorker. So you could tell he was not even focused on the road. He was just looking at his phone. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to look out the window and not focus on the fact that I could die at any second from this lunatic.
Oh my gosh.
So he drops me off at the venue and I call you guys and
hold on before you go any further. But while we were waiting, there was this I'm sure very nice lady in pink pants sitting outside of the venue. And Dragon goes, look, it's Whiskey. And
oh no.
This woman looks nothing like you. Like it wasn't a very nice thing for it wasn't very nice for Dragon to sit.
It was a catfish.
I want to be respectful to women, but
oh my God,
she was not somebody I would ever be conventionally interested in.
I was just trying to trick him. That's all it was.
Save yourself right now.
So anyways,
Oh my
you're pulling up to the venue. Going back to you. Sorry, I just had to add that little flavor in.
But
'cause
for
it
the
was so-
record, I had told you guys that I bought aggressively pink joggers and an
they
aggressively
were.
pink. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it. Yeah. But I wasn't wearing the joggers the day I flew. I just had the sweater on. So I get there and I'm like leaning against these like huge flower pot bench things with all my luggage and all my stuff because Chris is like, just meet us at the venue. I'm like, I do not want to travel and walk around more with all my stuff. So I call you guys and Neil's like, are you sitting on flowers? I'm like, no, I'm leaning on them. He's like, I think we see you. And all of a sudden, I like hear these feet run really hard towards me and yell Whiskers. And I'm like, oh my God. And Dragon was like right there. And I was like, oh my gosh. I absolutely loved it. And then in comes like Neil and Chris. And Chris is ridiculously tall. Like I knew he was tall, but I'm 5'4", so everyone's tall. But Chris is like, like a giant, right?
Mm.
Which I think me saying that all the time about him being freakishly tall, like, kind of gives him some kind of paranoia because to him he doesn't see it that way. But I love that, and we got to go inside, and that's when Dragon had some issues with his badge, right?
Oh,
You had
We're
some.
talk about this.
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna
start,
expose it
let's
all.
Start,
Oh no,
let's
no!
start from the very.
I'm gonna mute you right now.
Oh my God.
Best part.
We don't have to go there, but I want to go
No.
there.
I guess yeah.
You can say what you want to say.
So, I thought I was being like sneaky and all that. Like, I got lucky with the VIP pass NFT on OpenSea, and it ends up that I didn't read the description, and it was already revealed. So I had a useless VIP pass.
It was already claimed. Somebody had
Yeah,
already
it was
claimed
already
the
gone.
NFT.
It was
Yeah,
already
someone
freaking
claimed it
used.
and they sold it to me, and I was thinking it was like a full thingy, and so I couldn't get my pass. And Chris is like a big shot over there. He's all like, "Oh,
Yeah.
the guy is like, oh, just give him the pass," and the guy is all like, "Yeah." So
And not even a general admission pass. Like, Chris is basically like, he needs a pass, give him a pass.
Yeah.
He gives you a
Can we-
VIP pass.
Can we roll this back a second? So Chris gets a speaker. Whiskey gets a media pass for being part of the show, and Dragon gets a VIP pass. I pay full price for a general admission. So I'm the only one there that is like, granted my company's paying for it, but still, like, he ends up getting a free VIP pass. Everyone's there. That's like gets like all the bells and whistles, and here's me, just general admission. But anyways, back to you, Dragon.
well, so and then I had issues like trying to get my pass printed out, and then this lady started helping me, and so I had her. She was asking me questions like my Twitter handle and like the group on what is it called, the group, or yeah, I think the group name.
The
I'm not
group
sure,
name.
or the whatever you were
media?
Just who
the
you're
media.
with.
Yeah,
Like
Oh.
who I
what
was
you're
with.
Oh, like
And I
your
was like,
company
oh.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, chaotic exposure, and she's like asking how do you spell it, and I told her everything, and then she printed out, handed it to me, and I didn't realize something
He didn't
was
realize that it was different.
He didn't even.
So he didn't understand it. So I get there, they hand me my badge, and I'm like, oh, it's so cool, you know, because they actually got it to change from my real name to Whiskey, and I was really kind of wanting that. And so I was looking at mine, and then Dragon hands me his. I'm like, Dragon, yours doesn't say chaotic exposure. What did yours say, Dragon?
Mine said chaotic explosion.
It's a chaotic explosion, not even exposure. So automatically, we're off to a banging start with our badges. Like,
Quite literally.
You couldn't even plan this better. It was
Oh
so
my.
good. So, and he walked around with that thing all week. Like there was no shame. He owned that. It was so good.
Oh man, yeah. I love it.
So
I think we could change our name to that.
we
Oh
should,
my gosh.
oh my god, our audience would change drastically. I think people not
Yeah.
knowing what exactly we're talking about. But
That was
you
Tuesday.
yeah, that was Tuesday. No, yeah, it was Tuesday. That's right. And then you guys were like so good with carrying my bags. We walked all the way back. Didn't even get an Uber, which we should have done. Walked all the way back to the hotel. And Dragon carries my big bag. Neil's got my backpack with the laptop in it. And we get back to the hotel and Chris was like completely disappointed in the room that I was going to stay in. So he upgraded that to like the penthouse, which we were all like, what is happening right now? So that became like the party room where all of us would like gather and hang out and stuff in the evenings. But the view was insane. I'm not going to lie. To wake up in the mornings to that view was like, you guys had a really good room too, though, because you guys had you had enough room for all of you, and then you had a balcony.
Yeah. That was that perfectly silhouetted the Empire State Building.
So good.
It was awesome.
So good.
Yeah.
And it was spacious. It was nice. I mean, I will say, like, screw that hotel, and I never want to stay there again, because they charged you for the water bottles and coffee you used in your room. Like, what kind of hotel?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Don't tell Chris, because I drank like 2 or 3 of the bottled waters out of my fridge, so that probably cost him like $50.
But it's normal for your hotel room to have coffee and water. It's not normal for your hotel to charge you for it.
Right. Yeah. So we get back to the hotel. The days are starting to run together, so we're gonna have to like bounce off each other because I don't remember everything.
So I think that night was the night we just kind of stayed low key. We didn't jump in. We just kind of shared, like, just spending time together, getting to know each other in person.
What's that?
And I'm pretty sure that was your big night, Dragon, which really cemented.
No, but we also got to meet Tim there.
Oh yeah.
How did they get up, by the way? Because you have to show your key card to even get through the front desk.
How did they get up?
I didn't think about that until later, but you guys said follow the music. Yeah, they somehow got through like the security part of showing your keys.
You could not get past the security guards.
No
matter what. They were not playing around.
No.
And we needed to try. Oh boy, did we need to try. So many times.
Chris especially.
Oh my god. We'll get there. But Tim and Merc comes up. They arrive. They come up to come see us. And we're kicking it. I mean, I think we spent like all evening there, didn't we? Like all afternoon and evening just hanging out, getting to know each other.
I think we went down to Times Square though, didn't we? Because Dragon got that picture. Yeah, Dragon got the picture, that like amazing.
Oh
like,
yes.
Crazy, got so many thousands of views picture of the back of Chris looking at the Safe Moon billboard downtown. It's been a long time since I've been in Times Square, and I would be fine if I never went there again at night. There's so many people, and it was so hard for all of us to stay so close together. I felt like we needed leashes that we could like hold on to each other because the crowds were so insane.
Oh yeah.
And you got like, never mind. Never mind.
What?
We'll keep going.
What?
I was worried like Whiskers would get like pulled away from us.
Yeah, Dragon was sweet because he's like, you need to stay in front of us, like, or at least in the middle. So we're like, all of you guys were like surrounding so that I wasn't in the back. And at first I was like, why do I need to be in the front? And then when he explained, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, because I would be the one that gets kidnapped, and you guys would be like, we lost whiskey in New York.
But that picture of Times Square, like of Chris in front of the Safe Moon billboard, it like there's just throughout this friendship, Dragon has not stopped surprising us with his abilities. Like, and I don't think he even knows he has the ability sometimes, but like just time and time again, Dragon shows up and it says, "Look what I can do," and it's amazing. It's impressive.
I just got lucky.
No, dude, because you got that. That's stupid. Because then you proceeded to get lucky all week. Like you were killing it all week long with the shots you were taking of like your photography.
Yes, there was many shots.
That's fair. But then Whiskey also is amazing at putting posts together and visually putting them together with words. And I mean, I was talking to Benji and he was looking at analytics, and I think I told you guys this in a text, but like, I think there was 100,000 views on all the things that we put out on our different social medias, highlighting DeFi elitism, chaotic exposure, even the misfits. Like there was a massive impact. Everybody saw, and it was pretty amazing to watch you both work in your skill sets. Because Dragon, you weren't just lucky with that shot. Like that's a dumb thing to say because you took so many good photos.
He killed it.
Not nonstop. It was every day.
Safe move picture, man. I almost shattered my knee because right when it popped up, I dropped to the floor and just lined it up.
He worked really hard for that.
Yeah,
it was so good. It was so good.
It turned out great. Yeah.
So when we were done there, which the walking we did was insane. I mean, we keep talking about how much walking.
You know the soles on your feet, like where this. I think I bruised them underneath the skin. It's hard to walk.
Yeah. It's like you wake up the next morning and like your heels feel like someone just like got needles all in them because of how much pain you're in. But that was the night that we left Times Square. We went back. I think we picked up pizza on the corner before we went back up to the room. And
pizza
tequila.
Every day.
Yeah. Tequila, and then I think there was whiskey. I think there was a couple things, but we went back up to the room and we all hung out and ate and had drinks and a lot of shots.
Really hard.
Dragon had a stress ball in his hand.
Dragon had a legendary moment that will live on in history.
And I have comments about it because I saw everything.
All right,
you saw it.
Talk about
you saw it. Me and Dragon felt it.
Dragon, why don't you talk about your perspective and then I'll give you my perspective. Because I just don't think... I think we need both sides of the story for this to be full impact.
Okay, I guess we'll rewind back to what, Monday? Yeah, Monday.
When you got the stress ball?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, Tuesday, Monday night, Tuesday morning, whatever. When I arrived, Chris brought me a stress ball. That was a boob from Portugal. And so it was amazing. It was like the greatest gift ever.
It was amazing.
And I kept playing with it. It was stress relieving.
Oh my god.
But so I think of that Tuesday night. You know, I kept playing with the boob the whole time. And we were just like messing around, and then I ended up like sucking on it one time. I don't know why.
Oh my god.
I was so uncomfortable because that's just not my shtick. But here he is.
I kind of feel bad because like that day, like an hour later, that's when Tim shows up and Nick, and they saw the boob there, and it had like my germs and stuff on it.
I think
Tim, I've never seen Tim threw it. Like he threw that thing once you told him you were sucking on it. He's like, oh, okay.
We're not even to the conference yet, by the way, just for the record.
It was just such a good moment.
So we were hanging out that night, and and I was just sitting on the chair playing with the boob, and something sad happened. It blew up. The nipple came off. The nipple came
Okay.
off, and it
Dragon
blew up all
squeezed
over.
it so tight the nipple flipped open.
For some reason, Dragon is standing in this room. I don't know why he's standing. I don't get why he's standing, but he's standing. And all of a sudden, I just hear this, I don't know, a pop sound and liquid, probably from China with like the Wuhan virus, come spewing. Like spewing. Like it was like it was a wave of fluid. And Dragon is standing, mouth open, right? Just receiving this wave of fluid that came out of the stress ball. It was amazing. And like it was just how like dumbstruck he looked, because he mouth open, eyes open, just fully receiving everything. And apparently it also got on whiskey. I don't know. In her computer.
My god. Chris and I are sitting
It got everywhere.
all over. Chris and I are sitting on the couch and Dragon's in the chair next to me. And all of a sudden I hear this explosion.
Yeah, it was like a pop.
It was like loud. And all of a sudden I feel all this liquid spray my arm and on my laptop. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look down and there is juice all over the couch.
She said juice. You said juice.
Boob juice.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All over the couch, all over the chair, on my keyboard, on my pants, the freaking wall. It like sprayed on the wall. And then Dragon, I look up and he's already standing up by the window. He's soaked. It was not even just a little bit. He was
already standing. He was already standing. Like,
Yeah, it stood up like instant. It was like
but it was
mouth and
so
everything.
it was shocking to feel this liquid spray me and not know
how was
what
there
just
so
happened.
much liquid?
It was like a C cup boob, like a C cup, and it soaked.
It's everywhere.
It wasn't even that big, and I got soaked. It was like I had to change shorts, and then my
was
underwear.
freaking out. He's like, I think it got in my mouth.
It did.
And inside my eyes were burning. Oh my god!
Hence the chaotic explosion that happened that night. Yes.
That tag. That VIP pass.
God, that was just the first like 8 hours.
Oh, you know what
or
else we had that
less.
night? We also had the gala, which was not fun.
The gala.
No, yeah, the little like I didn't even RSVP because I didn't want to go, and then Chris says, "No, we're all gonna go." And what happens? We weren't even like all on the list, and we walk up to get into the entry, and Chris walks up ahead of us and goes, "There with me." Again. And we just walk through. They didn't look at our passes, didn't look at anything. Cris Vond just shows up and says, "This is who I am."
I had my pass underneath my shirt. I wasn't even like, you couldn't even see that I had a pass.
You didn't even look like you belonged because you didn't even have one showing.
He was like, "Oh, okay, okay."
Were
they
you
had,
Ted
like-
Lasso in there? I think he was, huh?
No, he actually
I
dressed
changed.
decent. He had his like flannel shirt and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then they had like your free like bar open, but it was just like beer and wine, which
That's
Dragon
gross.
trying. He's like, just whatever you're having, I'll have. So I got like the Brooklyn Brewery beer. I think it was an IPA, so I kind of assumed he wouldn't like it.
I think it was
He
a
didn't
lager,
like it at all.
actually.
Was
Just
it?
a really, yeah.
He didn't like it. And then he drank the wine, but I have a picture of him with one of each in his hands as like double fisting with his alcohol because he claims he doesn't drink, but he was standing there with both. That was kind of interesting because we were all kind of starving, and they talk about it being like the speaker dinner.
Yeah.
It was
no
like
dinner.
waiters and
Hors d'oeuvres.
waitresses walking around with trays, like feeding all of us, and
But like
I
little
don't do
finger
that.
food. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, But I will
Yeah.
say there was one thing there that had like mozzarella, basil, and some like whatever that, not vinaigrette, but the other black stuff, the
Oh yeah.
whatever.
Shit.
It's really good. And that was really good. I had like 4 of those. I felt like Kevin with the tray, like, hold on a second, come here. At the
But the outdoor area was cool because there was like you had this big indoor area where everyone was kind of like mingling, and then there was this huge outdoor patio with all this seating, and we kind of like scored the best like couches in the corner by ourselves. And Merc and Tim came and sat with us, and Crift, Chad with Crift was there, and he came and sat with us, and we all just sat around and talked and had drinks. And you're supposed to be like networking, but we just networked with each other and hung out. And that was fun. That was a good, like, getting into it, getting started, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to kick it off.
Yep.
For sure. For sure. And then the hanging out. I mean, I don't think we went to bed before 3 o'clock the whole week.
No. Well, the second night I think I kicked you guys out early. I think the second night I was done, but you guys kept asking because you said that we didn't drink as much the second night. But
we didn't.
I assure you, I had enough to kick you guys out.
All I know,
yes,
I was the adult.
The poll that Bearded did on who's going to be the adult in New York, I can clearly state that Dragon was the most adult the whole time. Although you also had Neil, who was up at like 7 or 8 a.m. raring to go to the conference, and the 3 of us are still in bed dying. So they kind of alternated adulting. I was a mess the whole time, and Chris was a mess the whole time. So we obviously were not the adults, which is funny because on the poll, we were the 2 that were winning that we would be the adults, and we were just not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I can give that to Neil. Neil was the only one that was actually working.
Rude. We all worked in our different ways.
Yeah.
At times, yeah. Dragon and I were working really hard to find the puppy room the whole time.
Yeah, you guys did that.
Horrible.
Yeah,
and then
like
went without me,
day.
which felt super rude, by the way. Like, didn't even tell us you found it. You just went.
Yes, we did. You weren't with us. And how many times did we end up getting separated at that conference? Like, just calm down.
I'm just saying, you could have said, hey, I found it. Come find us. We're here.
As soon as you came to us, we said, we found the puppy room. And we took you right to the puppy room. Yeah, Dragon had no service the whole time. I barely had service. Like, there was no... Look at Neil's face. Like, he just acts like we just completely betrayed him. Oh my gosh. I was ready to FUD that event too, because when I was on that call with the founders and they said something about having a puppy room, I'm like, done, I'll be there. And then we spent like the first 2 days trying to find it. And I told Dragon, I was like, I'm going to FUD them so hard on Twitter when I get home. Yeah, over puppies. It was worth it though. They were freaking adorable.
Puppies were so cute.
It was so good.
For adoption. I wanted to.
They were like rescue dogs that they had for adoption that you could take. There was like 6 of them or 8 of them. I don't remember. But when we talked to, I think you were there, Neil, when we were talking to the founders outside of the puppy room, and they said that they started that last year, and it was such a good, like, people loved it. Okay, maybe it was just me and Dragon. People loved it enough to where they wanted to bring it back. And I thought, you know, that's like a good, like, mental... like decompress, like just especially like Chris went in there and played with them after he spoke, and I'm thinking like, you know, when you're like you're anxious and you're going in to go speak, or just being at the event around all those people and stuff, just to have that little bit of like disconnect. I thought that was so cool.
That was really cool.
I kind of want to apologize to Chris for like trying to make him laugh when he was speaking.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So let's go. Let's go to Wednesday. Wednesday he didn't speak.
Wednesday. Okay.
That Wednesday we started the event. Everything got started. And really, I think you could sum up the entire event with just Chris is a big deal, and we just kind of got to kind of coast in his amazingness a little bit. Because all he had to do is, for me, like that first day was not about the sessions. It was just about getting there, meeting people, you know, kind of just getting my feet underneath me, seeing what the conference was about, what it was like, where the different things were. and I spent most of the day just doing that. You know, I got to meet a bunch of people that are both in our community with DeFi elitism, as well as just kind of friends of Cris Vond and the Cris Vond brand. And then Cris starts getting us into all these like events and parties. And was it that night that we got into that one condo or that flat or whatever that was? Was that the same night?
Yes.
Or was that the next night?
No, that was the same night.
That night, that was the best event.
Oh,
ever.
wait. Before we get to the night, Dragon and I got to meet Napoleon Dynamite, which I know he probably hates that people call him that. But he spoke, which I think Wednesday morning was the morning that I was severely hungover, dizzy, like could not function. And Dragon and I came later, and we got there like, I think he was John, was it Heater or I don't know.
Hater, I think. Yeah.
Okay. He had like 10 minutes left to speak. And so Dragon and I walk in the room to hear him speak, and they went a little long, so we got to hear more. And then he came around and we got pictures and got to meet him and stuff. So that was kind of like, that was kind of cool.
Awesome,
that was one
that
I
was
really wanted to like meet.
That was another thing I forgot was happening. And then you guys got to do it. And I didn't even know you were at the event. I was like, dang it. Dang it. So
Neil
frustrated.
has FOMO while he was there.
And then
I had so much FOMO.
We met Ashley that day. Ashley.
Yes. What did you do?
Her.
So she's known for something on Twitter, and me, Dragon, and Cris knew exactly what Dragon was doing. Or me and Cris knew exactly what Dragon was doing. Neil had no clue. So Neil was appalled at this. But instead of saying, hi, nice to meet you, Dragon looks at Ashley and says what?
I was like, oh, you're the titty girl. And then I shook her.
I was like, what?
Neil's face was like terrified. Like
Neil looked appalled.
I was like, I'm
hilarious.
so sorry. And then she goes, no, it's okay. That's normal. Like,
Cris is like, that's who she is.
This is not normal, first of all.
No,
Second of all.
No.
I didn't think. I was tired.
I thought it was hilarious. That's what she's known for on Twitter anyways.
She's a titty girl.
I don't follow her at all, which is probably
she's a really cool person. Yeah.
Yeah, she was sweet, but it was just funny to see your reaction to him saying that, knowing that he didn't mean it in a derogatory way. And Neil's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like he had to apologize for him.
I was so confused.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
But yes, that was the night that we ended up, we went to that like, kind of like an after networking, that loft that was like amazing, and Dragon guarded the pizza for us. Like people were gonna steal it.
Pizza was really good.
I was really eating like crazy.
And that panel, they had a panel there talking about different things, and it was a small little gathering with an open bar, you know, like so you could have beer or cocktails or tequila or whatever.
More tequila. That's right. Yeah. Dragon and I sat on the corner of the room and ate popsicles like we're 5.
But that was the things they were talking about were just like one of the panels was like the intersection of NFTs and community or Web3 or something like that. And oh man, it was just really, I would suspect probably one of the best panels of the entire conference, and it wasn't even affiliated with NFT NYC. But all these things were like private events that Cris just said, here, we're going, you know. But that was one of the coolest things ever. That little intimate pizza, cocktails, and listening to these different panels.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
But it was funny because I think you coordinated all that. And so we get there, and eventually Neil looks at us and says, I don't think this is the event we're supposed to be at. Basically, like the guy who told us to come here, no one knows who he is. And we're in these people's apartment. Like we signed in, came upstairs through a private elevator, and are in their apartment eating food and drinks. And Neil says, I don't think this is the event we're supposed to be at. And we're all like, oh my God, we're already in here and we've already started talking to people. Eventually we found out it was the right event and the guy was late to coming. But it was like in that moment
he showed up like 3 minutes after we left, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And we had to leave because Dragon had scheduled a soccer game I want him to talk about it when he comes back. You guys just get up and leave. And
I don't think that was the same night of the soccer game, though.
yeah, because we ended up saying, when do we need to leave this to get to your game? We went to the game, and then we went to, where did we go after that? I think we went to that Cardano thing.
I thought we were at the ATS after the soccer game. I'm pretty confident.
That was
because the soccer game was right after the ATS party was right after soccer.
Was on Thursday.
That's what I
was
thought.
the soccer on Thursday?
Yep, I'm confident.
Oh, so then we went to the Cardano thing on Wednesday, and the Loft was on Thursday. We did the Loft, the soccer game, and then yeah, I remember that because we left for him to go play soccer.
One. What was the Cardano?
The Cardano?
One like?
That was the one when we
I do
we
remember.
took. It was like a underground like bowling alley bar.
Oh yeah.
That really cool place that had like all the neon lights and stuff, and we all took tequila shots. Yeah, that was where we went, and then after that we went back to the hotel because it was not a late night that night. That's when I kicked you guys out at like 1 a.m. because I was like, I need to go to bed. I think that was the night that I like walked down the road back to the hotel and was telling you guys that I need to pee really bad, like the whole time back to the room. Like yelling it down the street, I need to pee.
I need to pee. I need to pee. Like, and she'd hit me. Neil, I need to pee. Like, okay, I understand.
You guys are walking slowly, talking on Spaces. I'm like, I need to pee right now. Like, I will go in an alley if you guys let me. Like, just I need to pee. So we finally got back to the room, and we had more tequila and Taco Bell, which was a terrible decision. It was just a terrible decision. And then
they tried to Uber the Taco Bell to us, and it was across the street. Like it was.
Yeah. So
like
so
our hotel.
We got Taco Bell back to the room, and we left, like they left at like 1. It wasn't even that late of a night that night. But the next morning, again, I was hungover and slow moving, and then we did it again because
that morning
I got there like half an hour before Chris spoke. Like that's how slow moving I was.
I got to the event bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go. I had my that was the day for sessions, and I lined them all up, and I had to like run in between stages. I didn't really like how they did that because there was like 6 stages and they're on different levels, and they were the sessions were 5 minutes long, and a lot of times they'd start right after different topics that were interesting. It could have been better groomed, I think, like just the better lineups. Anyways, I mean, because there's so much good content. So I'm chasing, going. So Chris is like, "Oh man, I left something. He had to go get something." But he gets to the room and he doesn't have a key. I gave everyone a key the first night. Here's your key. So I'm at the conference. Whiskey and Dragon are both passed out. He doesn't have a key. Like, what do you mean you don't have a key? Like, where's your key? I'm at the conference. I'm 20 minutes away walking at the conference, going to sessions, trying to get the most I can. And I had to walk back and give Chris and open the door for Chris.
He couldn't get in the room because Dragon was sleeping. And he needed Neil to come back to let him in. How many keys did Chris lose?
I want to say 9.
Oh my gosh. Every time he needed to get back into his room, he would say, I lost my key. What room? And then what room are we in? He didn't even know what room you guys were in the whole time.
Every time. Every single time. It's like, what are we doing here? Like,
even after like 3 days, you would think he would know. He still did not know what room you guys were in. It was exhausting.
Like, he ran to the room one time by himself, and he was like, you're not going to believe this. Someone stole my key. No one stole your key.
He said it would jump out of his pocket. So, okay, I want to talk about like the Chris speaking, because this is like something that there's layers here, and we're gonna have to get to more of this when we have this guest on. But we all remember last week's episode, or the week before's episode, we had Chris on, and we were talking about hoodies because of his brand. And Neil says, how do you say hoodies? And Chris, we all know, says Woodies. He doesn't say hoodies. which I think now he tries so hard to actually express that H and it still doesn't hit. It still is a Woodies, which we all love. It's endearing. It's cute. So he says Woodies. Well, we're all sitting in the front row, which Cris, I think, had the best support out of any speaker we watched. We filled up the front row. You had Tim and Merck behind us and non-fungible therapist, which we've had on the show before. It was so good to meet him. He was behind us. And then you had Chad with Crift Creator behind them. And then on the other side, you had some more people that work with Cris. The guy that's sitting next to Cris on stage is with Icy Tools. And he's talking about, I don't know what he was talking about, but all of a sudden, he says something about this project, and he says Woodies NFT. I lost it. I lost my shit. I
immediately did this.
Neil immediately lowers his head. I make eye contact with Cris, and I lost it. And Cris is smiling, like shaking his head, like no. Like I could hear him say that. Dragon starts giggling and lowers his head or did something. I was so focused on trying to contain my laugh that like my whole body is shaking and I had to lower my head and not make eye contact. But then I would like hold my mouth to try to contain the laughter. And I looked up and made eye contact with the Icy Tools guy. And I'm like, oh shit. Like he thinks that I'm like laughing at what he's saying. And so later you guys meet the Icy Tools guy. That's what I just keep calling him. Josh, right? Is that, yes, I think that's his name. So you meet him. He starts following us all on Twitter. You guys talk to him about coming on the podcast, but you didn't even explain to him why I was laughing. So I continue to this day to look like a total asshole for just like laughing during his Woodies speech. And I make no apologies, because if you're going to be up on a stage and you're talking about Woodies and we've already had these conversations with Cris, I could not handle it. It was so bad. And then apparently it's going to be on YouTube. Like they recorded it. So like the whole world can watch this show in person. Like it's going to be bad.
Can I talk about one of the things he said though?
Yes.
Well, there was throughout woven all this, there was a lot of conversations between all four of us at different times in different ways. And I definitely have kind of reworked my approach as a project manager, whatever, for Cris. And I'm kind of reshaping how I approach it. But one of the things that has always been there for me, but his talk cemented and started this whole like internal dialogue with Chris's art and DeFi elitism. But he said this comment. He said, we ran away from the elitists and we are doing the same things. And what he meant by that is like we ran away from like the elitists in like in the way that economy has worked by the rich getting richer and having momentum work for you if you have it or against you if you don't. And now we have DeFi, which really poses these opportunities to be more equal, to be in the same playing field, to truly be capitalistic, even, like to let your hustle be your reward. And decentralization offers all those things. But I mean, I think it took guts for him to say that on the stage, because he said, we ran away from the elitists, and yet here we are, we're doing the same things. It was an indictment into what people are doing in the space. But what it did though is it floored me thinking about the portrait that, by the way, DeFi elitism, that portrait is a real painting he did that it's based on. And that statement is a statement to us to remember what we're fighting for. And it just struck me so hard. And he even mentioned it, because I called it out. I said, dude, that was amazing. He goes, yeah, I really had to think about that because I understand that it's dangerous. But that's who you want to work for, right? I mean,
somebody that pushes the bounds and makes no apologies for who they are.
Yeah. And that statement, I got goosebumps. Like, I tweeted it out immediately.
Yeah. There's something so, like, you feel it in your bones when you're sitting there and you're watching like your founder, your friend, your teammate up on stage and expressing you know, everything that they expressed from the heart and just put themselves out there. There was like this proud, like, I don't know, you just like, you could feel everything when he was up there talking, and I just was like so proud and so like, I don't know, humbled at the fact that I'm even here or there, like watching, being a part of this, being a part of this team, and having someone that's like, you know, our boss. I say our boss, he would hate me for saying that. But like having him up there and like he just owned it. And he was like so calm, so cool, just did his thing, and I was just like so proud. I thought it was so cool to be a part of that and see him just shine, and he killed it. It was cool.
And that whole day, I mean, I got to see a lot of speakers, hear a lot of different perspectives. And I will say this, some of them, you know, was just recycling information we've all heard in this space a million times. Some of them actually brought real things. But that day for me was spent going to sessions, and just trying to learn and hear what people had to say. But I'm biased. Chris's talk was by far my favorite.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But mainly, he said a few things, and shout out to High Seas Pirates and Tim. He just put out a collage video, and he captured a different part of his speech that was also really good. Go listen to his content to go hear it.
Yeah. Chris did have some really good points too that was talking about, you know, I think all of us went there for different reasons. Obviously that main was like supporting Chris, being there for, you know, our team to be together and to just network and spend that time like bonding, and Neil just left again. To spend that time together, but then like make moves while we were there, you know, like I think we went through the lists of speakers and what they were going to talk about, and we kind of knew what topics and sessions we wanted to kind of get something out of. There was quite a few that I missed because they were earlier in the day and I was severely hungover in my hotel room. But some of them that I caught, yes. But Chris was talking about like the communities and your community getting something from you and you giving something, you know, you getting something back from the community. And I think for all of us that are on this side of like community engagement and trying to like bring people in and all this stuff, like that was kind of one of the bigger things that I really wanted to like take something from, because I felt like I needed that reset. And there was a few things that Chris said that just stuck with me. And then there was also I forget the one woman's name that was next to him that was talking about this too, and she basically was like, Web3 with community and founders is a give and take. Like, it's both sides have to give, and I felt like I needed that, just as simple as that is, because it's so easy to feel that pressure of giving so much to the community, and not that I expect something back, but just the effort of interaction and engagement, you know, because that's something you can't really control. You can schedule events and you can be in Discord and you can do all this stuff, but you can't control people coming into Discord and interacting or engaging with stuff. Like that's a give and take. Both sides have to put in the effort for it to be a mutual solid community. And I felt like that was just like a little bit of a weight lifted off me, even though it doesn't change how I look at things. It's just some of these simple, like one or two sentences that were said and some of these like speakers' moments was just impactful. And I thought that was really cool. But
yeah, no,
you guys are a hot mess today. It seems like every time I look up, one of you is gone. Like,
I know.
I'm just gonna talk to myself for a little bit, whether you guys are here or not. The jet
Immutable sponsored the whole event, and you know, one of the things that, and I'm not here to like throw shade at any projects, but gaming gets thrown out a lot of the space. Like everyone is going to build their own video game, which I understand why. We're all tech nerds, and so gaming is a natural thing to try to gravitate towards. But Immutable, shout out to those guys, because they're actually building a video game. Like, it's immersive. It's a real video game. Like it's not just some pixelated like Yuga Labs, I'm not here to knock on Yuga Labs because they're clearly know what they're doing and they're doing it well. But theirs was just like this little like race thing in a toilet or something. But they had like fully immersive video games. No, for real. I'm not joking. Like, I'm not trying to knock on them because again, they've done better than I've ever could dream of doing in the space.
Well, that metal core video
Yeah,
game was pretty good.
it's good, really good. And so there was cool. I felt like this year. I hear people talking about other years, and I think there was still some of these people, but there's these people that go to these events that are like the networkers, the marketers. Like we're here to market for you. We're a service, and I'm not here to knock those people. They don't definitely serve a purpose. But sometimes when there's money injecting into something, they kind of flock to that thing to try to capitalize on it. And there was a large absence of those people at the event this year. And from what it sounds like, that was different than last year, right? Instead, there was real developers, real community builders, real people with work ethic. And again, I know I'm sounding really harsh on the people that I'm describing because I know they work hard. But the people that showed up this year were there to like learn, grow, and meet other people that are like-minded. And we met so many good people that are going to be on the show that are awesome.
Yeah.
And there were people that share, like when I was meeting people, because I'm jumping to the next day a little bit, but like when I was focused on just networking and meeting people and going to the booths and understanding what they were and what they did, I was looking for those we've talked about this on the show before, but like when we look for projects, we're looking for some intangibles that not every project has, that won't even be these intangibles are not the intangibles that will see a really healthy pump that you can get some good exit liquidity from, but they're actually like, well, they'll be here in 5 years, right? We look for these like qualities in people that we share. And man, just talking to some of them, I remember I was on an elevator with this one lady, and I saw she was a speaker. I asked her what she spoke on, and when we get her on the show, I'll re-say all this, but she just said, "Oh, how to be successful with an NFT project." I said, "Oh, well, what'd you say?" She said 3 things very concisely, and it floored me. And the only words I said do you want to be on a podcast? Because they were just so nail on the head. I was like, yes, that's exactly amen. Like, so be it. Yeah. Let me get on the pulpit and start preaching. You got to be on this show. And there was so many interactions like that, which on Twitter, it's really hard to find those people. Like, it's really hard to find those people because you get so cluttered with the people I was describing before, the influencers, I don't really care about influencers. I've met some nice ones that I love and would happy to have on the show, but the average influencer isn't doing anything for me,
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, that tangent done. Sorry.
No, I actually was going to talk about how impressed I was with watching you 3 guys in action this last week. I mean, we went there to really push and represent 3 different projects. So you have the main focus was DeFi elitism, and then we had chaotic exposure. But we also are full on Misfit and took, Misfits stuff with us. Dragon was awesome. He had all those cans shipped to the hotel, and we were able to like give those out to people, and we had like stickers and QR codes, and I mean we just like hit the ground running with handing stuff out and talking to people and making connections. But it was really cool for me to watch from the side, to just observe you guys while we were there and see each of you guys' like strong points. Not that I saw weaknesses, but just the strong points that you guys just like went at it and really just dove into the specific roles and hearing what your guys' passion behind like everything that you talked about. Like, Cris is a no-brainer. He owns that shit. He just walks around with his head held high, and he just knows everybody and talks to everybody, and he just, he can light up a room. We all knew that. To see it in person was impressive. You then have like Dragon, who I didn't know that he could take pictures like he did, but like holy shit, like he needs some promotions, because that was like I went there for media.
That helps.
The feet pics is what got you here. I went there for media, and Dragon got like so much more media than I did, that I was like, oh my God. I had to tell Cris, I'm like, I am so sorry that I got like a quarter or less of what Dragon got. But he just got some of the best stuff. But then on top of that, to see him push like Misfits and to hand out these, he would be like, whiskey, give me a drink. And I would like pull one from my backpack, and he would go and hand it to somebody and talk to them. And like, he just owned it. Or he, like, you guys would ask for stickers and you'd go play some places and stuff. But then you had Neil, who he would get up and walk away and come back with his phone and tell us what event we're going to go to that night and who he met. And then other people that's going to be on the podcast, or what party we're going to go to that night. Like, Neil just went around and he just killed it. Like, all three of you guys just absolutely crushed it. You fully represented, like, every project. We should all just be like, we did a good job. We went there. We represented. A lot of us, we all did it on our own dime or with some help from each other. Like, we just killed it. We didn't have to sleep on the street or in a tent, which I thought we possibly would have to. All of us were able to get into the event. Our diet was pizza and tequila, so we did slack on the food. But I look at it, and overall, it's like, yes, I kind of wish I was not hungover like half the time, because I was either drunk or hungover. So I really did not, was not my best self. I said in Discord the other day that you guys saw, you saw sober, drunk, hungover, no makeup, and really got to pee whiskey. Like, all those combined was kind of a hot mess. And the fact that we could look each other in the eyes afterwards, I was like, okay, we did a good job.
I don't think you were drunk.
No damage was done. We just had a lot of fun, and it was good. But I really am excited about the guests that we could get on. We're not going to name them because we want to reach out to them and get that stuff. I think it'd be cool to kind of surprise, but some really big names, big projects, up and coming stuff. Like, oh man,
projects that are killing it. Projects that are killing it. Like, like they've already done the dang thing and they're doing it.
Yeah.
People that I followed for a long time, even. I'm excited for where this show's going. I think we're about to get a whole new kind of chaotic crew in here. And it's all possible. And I'm going to say it again because of all of you listening, like I don't want to cry because I'm not going to. But Dragon and Whiskey and Cris and our listeners are legends. The conversations we've had, the things we're going to try to do, the things that we're excited about doing, it is just overwhelming in the best way. I was hungover emotionally. Yesterday, I told Whiskey in a text message that I just think I was on my period because I was experiencing all the highs and all the lows. Like I was just having a day of emotions, and like it's exciting. I'm excited. And all of you have been here with us the whole time, and we're excited because you're with us. If it was just us three talking to each other, we probably still would do it, but all the better that you guys listen. And there are people in this space that aren't scammers, that aren't full of themselves, that aren't, presenting or projecting a false sense of fakeness. I'm not making any apologies. I'm going for it. Like those guys that I know, it seems like those people are that's all there is in the space, but we've so far had quality on this show, and we're going to continue to offer that because we've met such good quality people.
That's the other thing that I loved of us meeting together is we were exactly how we are on Discord.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous. Like, going to New York alone to meet 3 guys that I met on the internet is the most sus thing I've ever done in my life. And be like, I'm going to stay at this hotel with these 3 guys that I met on the internet, and we're going to hang out all week together. And like,
Yeah, kids don't do it.
Yeah, do not follow Whiskey.
Do not
Don't.
follow. Financial advice is not here.
No, this is not good life advice. But I look at it because I thought the same thing. There's like that little bit of anxiety. It's like, obviously we all know what each other looks like, and we interact because we do these podcasts with our videos on. We've been on Discord with Chris with his video on. Like, we've all been, we know enough. And then for us, we all know each other's, I mean, it's Chris too. We're fully doxxed. We know each other's names, addresses, all kinds of legal stuff that's out there for all of us. So there's that little bit of like comfort knowing that, like, okay, if one of us ends up like chopped up in an alley, we know who did it. There's just like a little bit of like nerve wracking. But honestly, when we were all just sitting around and we took those first shots in the hotel room and we just like
a fireball.
Yeah. We sat together, the 4 of us, and we had a shot of Fireball, all of us together in person. And that was like an aha moment. Like, oh my gosh, it was so surreal that we actually talked about the quote of Andy from The Office where he says that I wish you knew you were in the good old days before you've actually left them. We talked about that while we were there. And it doesn't matter because the moments go by so fast and everything went by so fast that like, I was so afraid I was going to like cry when I left you guys. And I was so like, I was fine. But then you get in the Uber and you put your earpods in and you're like driving to the airport and I pull away from like Chris and Dragon and I'm like, my eyes well up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to cry. The whole way to the airport, my eyes are watery because I'm just, given I listened to a really sad song and that's on me. But it was so hard to leave. I mean, we were only together for a few days, but there's just like, all of us were exactly who we are. Honestly, I think you guys are better in person. Like, I genuinely can be like, you guys are fucking awesome. Shit, I gotta owe $1. I forgot my big cuss jar. I'm really glad that we didn't do the cuss jar thing when we were together because that would have been like really expensive. But it was so fun to be all of us together. And I look at the pictures that we took and I just instantly light up and smile looking at the pictures still, like to this day, just like flipping through my phone and seeing all these pictures and the events we went to. I mean, we went to freaking, what is it? ATS.
It's Together Strong. Yeah.
Yeah. We went to their like,
crew,
we went to their like private event and hung out there and that was unreal. And then
that was full on.
Yeah. And then that was the night that we were out till like 4 a.m. I think. And we went to a pizza place at like 3 a.m. And I've never been kicked out of a pizza place at 3 a.m. before, but we did that. Like they're like, you need to leave. And we're all still trying to eat. And it's like 3 a.m. So we leave. Somebody calls an Uber.
I do.
And they look, okay, Neil calls an Uber and we're waiting on this Uber. They take 2 looks at us and drove. Like Neil's like, wait, like, that's my name.
What, that's
He's like,
my
I see
name.
my
That's
name.
my face.
And the guy's like, no. And he drove and left us in the street. So he took a look at us and was like, I am not picking up these 4 at 3 a.m. That looks like hot messes just on the side of the road.
To be fair,
and
I'm pretty sure the pizza place was closing. For what it's worth.
it was. But I mean, we got kicked out. Like they wouldn't even let us finish eating our food. They're like, you need to go. Like, wait a minute. Yeah. Somehow we made it back to our hotel.
Yep. And no, we got another Uber and you guys got out and I was in the back seat. So like I had to fold it up. And so I got out of the car. I didn't think about putting the seat back. I was just trying to be nice. I was just trying to get out of the van. I closed the door. Well, I get around the door and the driver's out of his seat in the street yelling at me. The seat's not going to put itself back. And what are you doing? That's so rude. Yada, yada. I was like, I'm really sorry. I was just trying to get out because I had boots on too. And I was like tripping over them because like, I was like, you know how the backs of vans are when you're having to climb out of them. I'm tall. I was just trying to get out of the van safely and he chews me out. But we got back in.
I heard him slam. Now that you guys are telling it, because I kept hearing you say something about Neil messed the guy's seat up, and I'm like, was I there for that? And
he didn't mess his seat up.
Okay, but in his eyes, you messed it up enough because Chris told me that you got his Uber score lowered.
Yeah, because he was mad that I just didn't put it back up. That's all I did. I didn't like.
Dude,
you lowered Chris's Uber score. He's like, I had a perfect score, and then Neil went and messed his seat up, and now it's a 4.5.
And also,
didn't do
Neil
anything wrong.
Our clothes and my brand new shoes.
I don't want to talk about your clothes. I want to talk about my pants
new
that
shoes.
you dumped cups and cups and cups on. I was like literally soaking wet from the knee, from the waist down. I felt like I'd been swimming, but it was all of your fluid.
You had dry fluid all over you?
Oh my gosh.
I was backed up, dude.
We did not talk about Dragon. We didn't talk about Dragon playing soccer. So Dragon did do this soccer. He scheduled soccer. Talk about this because we have been wanting to watch him play soccer in person forever, and we finally got.
I was disappointed in Whiskey in this, by the way.
Why?
He was really upset at me. He's like, "Why are you not up here yelling?" I'm like, "You're yelling for the both of us." He's freaking Ted Lasso standing on the side, telling Dragon to be a goldfish.
Was playing soccer.
And when he scored, what did I do? I yelled. So sit down because
one of the guys there was
sitting
like,
there.
Dang, you have a crowd. You have fans.
He said you have fans, and you got freaking Neil standing there dressed like Ted Lasso, yelling at Dragon to be a goldfish. And I'm like, you're acting a fool for both of us. I'm not gonna stand up there.
That was the point. That was the whole point.
I know. I was either intoxicated or hungover, and no one gave me even any grace that I was severely hungover most of the time.
Yep. I think you did.
See, Dragon understands. Neil just expects everyone to recover like he does. Like, he just wakes up ready to go every single morning, and the rest of us are like, I'm dying slowly, and I feel nothing.
Yeah.
But not Neil.
But Dragon, I will say this. He's about that life. He took these kids and said, sit down. I saw him knock down no less than 2 people.
Yes.
I saw him score a goal. I saw him just
He scored multiple goals. He scored multiple goals.
He did.
And he took out people, like, I don't know how many red cards or whatever they are that you should have gotten, but he, like, decked those boys. He decked those boys. They slid. And I was like,
nice.
No, they were clean. Sir. They were clean hits. They were clean hits.
I thought I was nice.
You just, like, threw down. I mean, he played fair, but it just was to see it in person. I was like, okay. He just threw down and got those goals. Yeah. Absolutely. Those poor kids, they just, I don't know. I felt kind of bad for them, but it was kind of fun to watch.
They were Italians.
Dragon keeps saying he feels old, and he's like a year older than me, and I find that insulting.
He's actually a little older than
the youngest.
I'm a year older.
I'm the youngest.
No, shut your mouth. You're the oldest.
No.
You're the oldest by like 4 months.
4 months. Not even an outrageous number. And he talks all the time about how he's so old.
I know. I mean, we are old, so it's, let it go.
Yeah.
But
so I ended up leaving on Friday, like early morning or early afternoon. And you guys went and spent the day together, and I had mass FOMO, but you guys were so cute because you kept sending pictures of like what you were doing and updates. And they sent this one that was utterly adorable. And I didn't even notice it when you sent it right away. I had to go back and look at it. But they were at this table having dinner together, and all 3 of them were sitting at this table, but there was a 4th chair. And in that, like, on the table where the 4th spot was somebody's phone with a picture of me. Like, I was there eating with them. It was so cute. It gave me, like, serious FOMO. I hated it. I didn't want to leave that early.
Yeah, I took them out for a hot date and blew their minds with the incredible food. I was pretty proud of that.
Yeah. But then you guys went and saw a movie because Dragon sends a picture of you and Chris sleeping at the movie.
I was so tired.
Like,
that was
you guys were conked out.
Yeah.
I was so tired. I kept going in and out of sleep too. Like I kept like,
well, when he sent this picture, you were conked out. Like both of you were passed out.
Yeah, they were snoring.
I'm surprised you didn't get up and walk away. Like, I would have moved to a different section and left him there.
Those chairs were just so comfortable. They had the reclining chairs, you know?
Mhm.
And like, oh, I had the cup of soda and a bunch of warm popcorn. And it was just,
Yeah.
it was a great time. And, you know, Whiskey was talking about this, and so did Dragon, I think, a little bit. But like, you know, and I know you guys weren't saying this, but I didn't even have a doubt, which is weird for me because I have a lot of anxiety. I normally have doubts. Whiskey even pointed out a sign at the Cardano event that was really rude. Because I do overthink and I'm in my head all day, every day. But for this, for knowing you guys were going to be at the event, like I don't know why. Because again, I truly, Whiskey and Dragon both could tell you, and I know that I am way too in my head and I am way too overwhelmed all the time. But I just knew how great it was going to be, and I had zero doubts, and somehow it exceeded every expectation.
Yeah.
So much so that like I needed like drugs to like get my mind back into a normal place afterwards, right? Like it was so freaking amazing. And you know, Whiskey earlier mentioned that she didn't do much at the event, and you know, Dragon did take incredible pictures, but I just want everyone to know like that's not true. And it goes back to social media. There's a reason I brought her on Chris's team for being the marketing manager, because she just understands how things go together visually to make big impact. And I think if you're listening to this, it's probably because at some degree, even if you would have listened to it regardless, but you saw the content going out on all of our accounts, and that was all Whiskey. And Dragon, man, like took some of the best freaking photos. Holy crap, he took some great photos, and they've been coming out already. And
Yeah.
and yeah, you know, like you know, day to day, whatever. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna filter. I'm glad I got to utilize my strengths in a practical way. That's part of the reason, like part of the reason I had so much FOMO sometimes, because I knew I was missing things that you guys were all doing.
Mhm.
I let that go because I knew that I finally got to do something really productive. I'm not here to talk about how I don't, whatever. But I'm saying like I got to be in my element for the first time in a real way to make big impact for us. And I wanted to capitalize on that. And I think I did that. Um, and so like, even though I missed, you know, Napoleon Dynamite, even though, you know, I missed the puppy room with you guys for the first time or whatever else, I knew I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing for us and for all of our teams. And that's what mattered to me. And then I also wanted to make the memories, and we did that too. And so it was a movie. It was so good. And yeah, I really you know, oh man, we just met some of the coolest people. Some of them are nuts. You know, this is the .com boom in all of its glory. Maybe worse. I don't know.
Dude, my favorite was going to that basement with that elf chick, and she was like blowing bubbles.
That was the
So
weirdest freaking thing.
I'm so glad I missed that.
Yeah, they
Are
had
those
speakers.
the pictures of you guys being like somewhere with like, I don't know, it looked like
Video
helmets
games?
and like weird
Yeah,
stuff.
video game stuff.
Yeah. I was dressed up as
they had like every single console possible that been out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And
That's
then in
cool.
the basement they had speakers, and they had the elf lady walking around blowing bubbles while the people were speaking. It was pretty funny. I was like waiting for her to pass out, like from like.
I mean, people would be speaking and she'd be
Blowing.
up there in front of them blowing bubbles across them. Like, what are you doing?
And it was like
and then she
one
said,
bubble would come out, or like two.
And then she said, my first ever NFT project's coming out tonight. And I was like, oh, that's what you're doing. Okay.
Yikes. Well, okay.
I'm not interested. It was a great time. I get to change the rotors on my van tonight. So that's super exciting. So we do need to kind of tie it up a little bit. I wish Dragon lived closer so he could just come and do it for me. But alas, I have to do it myself.
Rude.
I know.
Yeah. It was a good
It's
week.
easy.
I'm glad that we were able to go, and I'm glad that we have the experiences and the memories. I definitely would love to like plan for future NFT events with you guys. I think that would be a lot of fun. I know Chris is like dying to get us to Amsterdam. So,
I don't know if I have it in me.
oh, buddy.
I gotta go. I
Oh.
gotta go play soccer. Because now I can say I played soccer like coast to coast in the U.S. So
Yeah,
I want to.
now I need to do it around the world.
that'd be cool.
I'm not sleeping much this week because I want to get us to conferences, and I think I know how to do it, but one day at a time.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dude, you have some cool stuff lined up.
Oh my gosh,
Just
Neil
one day
has,
at a time, man.
yeah,
there's so much stuff.
it's like
mean-
game changing.
Holy moly! That's
Let's
so
just see if they all
exciting.
work out. Let's just one day at a time. You got to line it up. We're all gonna make it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Thanks for
And
listening.
yeah, thanks
Yep.
for listening. You guys are the best.
I felt like you guys were all with us too.
And
Like connecting with you on social media, seeing your reaction, replies.
yeah,
It really made it that much better. So thank you for being with us, and
hmm
we're gonna bring this show to the next place. And you're coming along with us, so
and then
Let's
if
get
you
it.
have any complaints, just write it down.
and throw it
And
away in
So
the
we
throw it
can
trash.
throw in the trash because we don't care.
Oh no! But would you want it any other way? I don't think you would.